Have you ever wondered what the future will be like? Much of the future has been projected to be an age of robots. From the simple machinery of Da Vinci to the modern self-controlling robot of today, what exactly can we be expecting? Today, designers and engineers are working to make these innovations possible. With the unknown in the near future and machinery, along with robotics more readily available, students are exposed to the world of robotics. These young technicians, designers, and project leaders could hold the key to what the future has in store.
I'm Brett Moore.
My name is Daniel Ditos.
I am Seth.
My name is Coach Knotts.
I work as on the media tech team for the robotics team.
I am the president of the robotics team.
I am the driver for the robotics team, 3802 RoboPop.
I'm probably the lead mentor for the robotics team. My job is to make sure everybody has everything they need, all the mentors have all the equipment and materials that they need, and to make sure the students stay on task and we actually meet our deadlines to be able to get a robot built in 6 weeks.
Last year was a little bit of an interesting story. It was the first year that any of the members had actually been in robotics. It was the second year of the robotics program, but the first year was only seniors. So last year was a bit of a learning experience for everybody.
3 years ago we started with 4 people, and those 4 people, we were, I guess I should say, I filled out all the forms and everything to do the first robotics, and I didn't realize to what extent it consists of building a robot in 6 weeks. I didn't think it was that hard. And we finished as a finalist our first year, so last year, even though it was our second year, it was really as though we had a rookie team.
Last year, it was technically not our rookie year, but we had a rookie team. So everybody on the team except for Mr. Knotts was absolutely new to the experience and had no idea what was going on. So last year was mainly a learning year, and it was very good. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot.
With the past season in the rear-view mirror and the current year underway, many members of the robotics team expressed different goals and expectations for the upcoming robotics season.
At the beginning of the year, we mainly wanted to do better in the overall competition, have our robot perform more of the challenges that were given to us, and hopefully continue to St. Louis.
The biggest goal I had was to go to the World Championships, and I think a lot of people, a lot of the students kind of laughed and thought, yeah, right, we're going to go to the World Championships.
Personally, my expectations were a little bit low. I will say that. I'd figured that we would maybe get to the finals or maybe get to the semifinals. I thought that we would end up losing to one of the teams that had much better resources at their disposal.
Once their goals and expectations have been set, the actual work begins. The stress, commitment, and hard work builds up. Not everything is as smooth as it seems.
At first, it was a little bit of just getting people there to actually work on the robot.
Really, the obstacles were just showing up. It's hard whenever you have a lot of members and it's a new team and things don't always work out quite as you feel like.
Some trials with getting the robot and the team working together were probably devotion to the robotics team, because it is a lot of time and effort, much like a sports team, and probably getting everybody to work together and focus together. Different ideas were fine, but getting everybody to agree on one idea and one approach was the hardest.
And then it was trying to decide which design to use, because we originally had a J-shaped design for a launcher. We then had a little bit of trouble making a linear designed launcher, and we had a bunch of trouble trying to figure out, do we want to gear up the motors, do we want to gear down the motors, figuring out weight, width.
I worked on the AutoCAD, which is basically a 3D blueprint of it. So we started out with the regular 2D sheet, and I moved it all the way up to a scale 3D, which worked to help us on our practice robot because we had something to go off of, basically just like an instruction book. I think we just tried to go with a nice design that would work very well, very efficiently, and our main goal was to just make sure it was powerful enough to beat every challenge.
Dividing their time up between extracurricular events, basketball, soccer, and being that it is still what we say a club or an activity, we were end up being the only people that we had on a regular basis were the ones who only committed to doing robotics.
Probably the biggest obstacle we had was getting the robot to fit within the design parameters that FIRST had set us, meaning the width, the length, the height, things of that nature.
We built 2 identical robots, and for them to understand that you can't just guesstimate as to, well, it's about 12 inches. So we started learning how to use a CAD program, and that CAD program gave us the ability to be more exact and precise.
Other than that, I think really our only problem was the problem that every team has, which is time constraints. I mean, you're given a idea on what you're building about a month in advance, and that's all you have to build the robot.
We started in June building a t-shirt launcher, and I think all the members had to understand that there are several components that go into building a successful robot. It's not only programming a robot, but it's understanding how to use pneumatics, how to be able to use different materials to build our robot. 2 days a week, on Mondays and Wednesdays for 2 hours, put together different drivetrains with different wheels, and we actually measured the ability for it to maneuver, its speed, accuracy in terms of its controls. And all those things led into when competition was unveiled in January. I think the kids realized we were in a good position. We knew how to use pneumatics and many of the other materials to build a robot, as well as the different drivetrains that would give us the maximum maneuverability, quickness, those things. Well, the old saying, familiarity breeds contempt, is far from what we looked at. I told them at the beginning of the competition that unveiled in January, the first Saturday in January, I said, in 6 weeks, we're going to do one of 2 things. We're either going to be the best of friends or we're going to be at one another's throats. And fortunately, we grew very close as a team. You know, we laughed together, we got frustrated together, but in the end, you know, we really put together a solid team. We had about 14 members that went to the competition in Dallas Regional. And, you know, through any type of adversity, somebody just stepped it up and was able to meet the needs that we had. And I think that was the biggest thing, that through the adversity, we end up growing a lot stronger together as a team.
All the obstacles that our team has faced has really brought the people who stuck with it through the entire year, has brought them together a lot from the beginning of the year and from last year even. We've learned to work together to specialize into the categories that best fit us. So we've been able to break apart the challenge and complete it in segments, which gives a better result in the end.
After enduring through the obstacles and coming together as a team, the challenges and hard work propelled a relatively unknown Prince of Peace robotics team into the competition. With the competition at hand and many new members on the Prince of Peace squad, the members felt mixed feelings and emotions at the beginning of the competition.
Not being on the team before, I kind of figured that, I knew our robot was good, but I figured that there were going to be other robots that would just blow us out of the competition. Getting there, I saw some of the robots and they looked pretty incredible. Some of them were made of much better materials, custom parts. Teams had more funding, looked more organized.
And when I actually got there, I was feeling pretty good because our robot looked pretty well sophisticated compared to some of the other robots that were there.
This year would be a lot better because we were going to go for big points and a lot more challenging of a robot design. So basically I knew kind of anticipation and kind of nervousness because we don't know what the challenge is, so we don't know if we'll be able to do that.
This competition is serious. There's 60 teams that are competing for the chance to move on to the world. And I think that kind of whet their appetite for them to come forward and say, hey, you know what? We want to do better than the quarterfinals is what we did last year. And obviously then, you know, this year we changed our frame of reference and our mindset as to what we wanted to do.
As the competition begins, the team is ready to do their job.
They realized that, you know, there are going to be a lot of teams and the competition was going to be tight. Last year I kept asking kids, all right, did you get the batteries charged? Hey, do you have the bumpers put? And the list went on and on. This year, And I had everything scripted last year. This year scripted, and it was such a relief and a blessing that by the time I would get back to the pits, I would say, have you guys changed? And they're like, Mr. Knotts, we already got the bumpers changed out. Mr. Knotts, we already got the battery switched and charged, and we've already logged it and everything. So everybody had a job to do. They did that job. Never once did I have to remind them or tell them to do something. Our scout team was amazing. They took unbelievable notes, so we knew we were going to be in the thick of things.
With the stellar performance, the Eagles shocked everyone by placing second and qualifying for the world competition. The team had completely broken barriers that were blocking them a year ago.
I knew we had a good robot. I knew we had a reliable robot. We had a dependable robot. Our consistency in shooting the Frisbees wasn't what I wanted it to be, but we were consistent enough in being able to climb the pyramid, and in our autonomous mode, which is the mode where the robot worked completely on its own. And Seth Droshi, who drove the robot this year, was a big critical component to our success because he did a great job maneuvering the robot, because teams saw we could score and they tried to find many ways to block our robot, and he was able to maneuver around the other robots blocking us to get points. So no, I wasn't surprised. I was a little surprised that we were going into the last round the #1 seed. I thought we were going to be in the top 5. And as it kept going further, all of a sudden, we were #1, stayed #1. So I'm not surprised we did well. I was surprised we were the #1 seed, though, up until the last match. I guess I've had a great time working with these guys, Anytime I asked them to do something, they did it. They put in some long hours. We were putting in between 20 and 25 hours a week in addition to the school. And not once did they complain. Not once did they find excuses. We worked together. And you know what? I wouldn't trade the guys for anything. I coached basketball for 28 years. And I retired from coaching basketball so I could spend full time doing robotics. And I was able to give something back to basketball, and now I'm able to give something back to robotics. And I don't look back, and I'm not the least bit disappointed. It's because I had a good group of guys to work with. And the mentors, the dads that helped out, they were amazing as well, because it's not something that one person can do. If it weren't for the Mr. Bells and Mr. Tolberts and Mr. Droshis, Grandpa File, we wouldn't have what we got. I can see us being in the competition, going to the world every year. That's our goal. And I think we have the resources, and we have the kids, and we have the parents to do it. Now that we have the first LEGO League up and running full speed, all it's going to do is continue to get stronger and stronger, this program. And like athletic programs, the strength of the program really lies at the lower grades, because if these kids learn how to use LabVIEW, even working with the Legos, by the time they get to middle school and high school, they're well versed in how to build a robot, how to program a robot, and that makes a world of difference. And I perceive us being able to be in the thick in the Dallas Regional every year, and barring we don't have any breakdowns with our robot, I see us legitimately having a shot to go to the world every year.
Now that the season is coming close to an end, the robotics team looks to keep up their impressive work at the world competition. The expectations many had made were met, and in many cases shattered, with the great success. What does this mean for next year? Only time will tell. But for now, the Eagles are a robotics team destined for great things.